Hello everybody and welcome on in here to our user group webinar. My name is Jim. I'm coming to you live here on a sunny and cool day here in Columbus, Ohio. Very glad to have you guys join me here. We are going to be spending the next 20 minutes or so talking about customizing the Church Windows membership module in version 20 of Church Windows. Before we get started on all of that, a quick word about your go-to webinar control panel y'all should have on your screens there. It's got a little red arrow button in the upper left-hand corner that allows you to either minimize or maximize that control panel. Minimizing it is going to open up a little more room on your screen to see what we're talking about here in our webinar. Maximizing that is going to give you access to the features of that control panel, including the questions section, which you can use if you have any specific questions about this topic, customizing Church Windows in version 20. For the duration of the presentation portion of it, I probably will be unable to answer any questions that come in, but once I'm done with the presentation portion, I'll be glad to take a look at any questions that you have, and I'll leave the room open for a little bit and we'll get to any specific questions that you might have there. Okay, so version 20 of Church Windows, we are finishing it up now. We're double checking, making sure that we've got all the bugs squashed and that there's no major errors or problems with the program before we release it to everybody out there. So because of that, the version of the program that we're looking at here today and the things we're specifically going to be talking about here today, you guys don't have it yet for your computer. So this is sort of a preview of the way we'll be able to customize Church Windows in this version. Let's go ahead and open up the membership module. We'll take a look at the way the opening membership portal looks in version 20. I do want to point out specifically for the purposes of our presentation here today that you'll notice that we do not have a members and a visitors button here. We've got a single button for people. So all of your records are all together in one spot. As opposed to being separate buttons that you click on, I'm going to go ahead and open up my people window now. As opposed to it being separate membership or visitors windows that you click on, all of the records in your database are kind of shown on the same window, in a very similar window where you've got a household record side on the left side of the screen and an individual record side on the right side of the screen, right over there. But as opposed to two separate databases, it divides folks into categories. So you'll see up here at the top of the screen where it lists categories. So the record that we're on here, Nina Abenshine, is in the visitors category. And as we scroll from record to record, you'll see members, you'll see visitors. They're all kind of together here into one spot. You can filter what category you look at by clicking this button up here at the top. Again, that's not really the topic of the webinar here today, but that's something you kind of need to know for when we're discussing all of the customization features we've got here in Church Windows version 20. So let's go ahead and get started on this. When you're looking at the membership module, you've got a series of fields that you can track information for your individuals in the database here, listed here underneath individual fields. Now, many of these are fields that are kind of built into the program that when you install the program from scratch are built in, and then you can't simply delete them out of the system. They're important to the way the membership module functions. Those are fields like the status code field, the include on directory field, directory report order, birth date, and fields along those lines. But outside of those built into the program type fields, you're in control of your own data. You decide what information you want to track in membership, and the way in which you track that information. You can add up to 89 total fields here under individual fields. So you can add fields to the system, up to 89 of them. You can delete fields that aren't built into the program from here. You can hide fields based on category. So folks that are in the visitors category might display certain fields that folks in the members category do not display. So you can customize the types of information that you track based upon categories. The types of fields you can add or delete are divided into seven different types of fields. We've got yes, no fields, built-in character fields, dates, emails, what are called list fields. Then we've got numeric fields and phone number fields. So we'll take a look quickly at those as we go. You can also rearrange the order that they appear in when you are on the screen here. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about first adding a field to the system here. So there's two places where you can go to get access to customizing fields. There is right here on the membership people window, there's a button right over here that you can click to get into customize fields right there. You can also by using the tabs along the top of the screen in membership, you can switch over to the special functions tab and you'll see a customize fields button listed right there. So both of them take you to the same window. You can use either of them to get to the customize fields window. So let's go ahead and open that up. Takes you to the customize fields window right here. In the upper left-hand corner, you can select which category you're working on. So here's the members category. If I switch it and click on visitors, you may notice that the order changes when I switch. So if you look here at email address and work phone, etc., when I switch back over to members, the order changes here. So the way that the fields display on the people screen changes based on which category you have selected. You'll also notice that you've got a column on this screen right here for whether a particular field is visible in that category. You can simply check or uncheck them right here on your screen. So for example, in the visitor file, if I did not want to display, for example, let's say baptism date, on the visitor category, you can edit that field and make it so that does not show up as visible on there. Now, maybe we can't do that one because it's built into the system. Bear with me for a second here. It seems to be. Oh, yeah, it is hiding them. Okay. So as I'm unchecking these, you're gonna. I'm clicking on the checkbox, and when that happens, they all kind of appear down here at the bottom as not being displayed in that visitor file. Fumbling around with this. So I'm going to go ahead and make some of these visible. I just wanted to not have baptism date appear on there. So you just simply check them. When you check them, as we all just discovered, they appear down here at the bottom of the drop-down list here. So that is how to make them visible or not visible on there. Let's talk about adding a new field. Let's add it over here in the member file here. Let me make sure I do have one. Okay, so adding a new field, you simply click on the Add button down here in the lower left-hand corner of the Customize Fields window. When you click there, it just creates a new row on your grid here where you can record whatever type of information you want here. So let's say, for example, I want to create a profession field. You simply name that field in here. The second column is the type field. So when I click in this box, you'll see a list of all of the different types of fields that we have available to record information for here in membership. So a yes/no field, a character field, which is up to 50 characters where you simply type whatever you want in that field. If it's a date field, whether you're tracking emails with that field, numeric field, or phone number fields. Let's talk about the list fields though. I could create profession as a character field, and then it would allow you to type whatever you want to in there. But that's more difficult to report on. The reason you're tracking this information here in membership, you're not doing it just to give yourself something to do. You're recording this information in here so that you can get good reports back out of the system. And a more accurate way to get reports is to record information as a list field. The reason for that is if we created a profession field and we called it a character field where you just simply type anything into it, it makes it more difficult to make sure that your data is consistent. So if somebody's a teacher at a community college, for example, and you enter them into the system and you go into the profession field, do you type in teacher? Do you type in professor? Do you type in, college teacher? But if you have a simple list field, which with codes in it, you simply record the teacher code on there, and it makes it more easy for you to record these. So I'm going to go ahead and create this new profession field. When I click OK, on the member list, we're going to have a new field called profession. Let me make sure I got this sorted correctly. Should be on my member file here. Let me sort. Let's go back into that. Make sure I entered this properly here on the member list. Got a field called profession. It is visible on the members file. Let me actually move it up. You can also change the order of fields using these arrow buttons over here to the right. I'm going to change the order of my fields, and I'm going to put profession at the very top of my list, which you can do. When I click OK, there is my profession field up at the top of the list because I was blind and was having difficulty finding it where it was in the list previously. So there's my profession field listed up at the top. Now, for a list field, those have available codes. When I first click on my down arrow here, there aren't any codes available. There's a button over here to the right that lets you edit your codes on a list field right there. So clicking on that button brings you to this window, the profession code list. So you type these in. So if you want, you simply type in whatever codes you want to track. Teachers, computer geeks, but enough about my job. There are other people with jobs as well. Etc., etc., etc. Whatever fields, what you want to record. Now, these can always be edited later at any time. When you click OK, now these are all available professions that you can track. You can always click on that if you want to add additional fields in there. Okay, so that is adding a new list field in the system there. So let's go take a look back at our Customize Fields screen again. You can, I already discussed hiding particular fields. So last visit, so like for example here on the member file, let's say, let me go ahead and close out of here. Let's say we want to not display how came to membership, this field right over here. So this how came to membership field would tend to be one that's a little bit more appropriate to show in a visitor category as opposed to a member category. So if I didn't want to display that in membership, back on my customize field screen, I can locate my how came to membership field right here. Simply uncheck this. You'll see it shows up without a checkbox in the visible category. When I click OK here, it disappears from here. So that's not something that's available on member files. If I go to another record here in the Ian Barry record here, in the visitor category, you're going to see how came to membership showing up on those. So this screen kind of changes, and what data that you have on people's records changes based on whether you're on which category you're on here. So in a member category, that won't display on there. Okay, cool. So you can also delete fields that you no longer wish to use in the system here for whatever reason. Whether it's an old database and the information that folks from 10 years ago thought was important for reports isn't necessarily something that you need to show. Deleting a field that you've created is done with this column right here. Now notice that not all of those minus buttons are available. So for the fields that this is grayed out, those are those fields that are built into the membership module and they're not available for you to delete them. So status code, family relation, include on directory, etc. Fields like some of the email fields or the cell phone fields and things along those lines, they can be deleted because they are customized fields that you've created for the system. So let's say we want to go ahead and get rid of church school membership. That was a drive we had several years ago for reporting that we no longer generate those same types of reports, and we don't need this field in our database any longer. Here on Customize Field, you simply select a field, click on your little red minus button over here to the right, and you get this message right here. It removes it from your database, which of course means that any people's records that had information in that field, that will also be removed from their records. And this is just letting you know that you're permanently changing your database here. So if you click yes on here, it removes that from your database. We no longer have that school membership field in your database there. Okay. The last thing, well, second to last thing, I guess, on my list of things I want to make sure I cover here today, again, are these order buttons over here on the right side of the screen that allows you to, by category, change the order of the way things are displayed. So let's say we added our profession field, we did our data entry, we've got all of our information how we want it to be, and we no longer need that to be the very first field we see on the membership records. So if I select this field, I can use these arrow buttons over here on the right side. I can move this field down. Let's say we want to record it underneath our contact information, right there underneath work phone. When I click OK, it reorganizes it. Now we see that listed where we wish to see it, right there underneath work phone as we set it up on there. Okay. All right. So the very last thing we're going to talk about is the way that our fields are displayed on our screen, which are these buttons right next to Customize Fields. This button here is so that the order that you see these in goes left to right. So this will be the first field, this will be the second field, this will be the third field, this will be the fourth field. So that's what that first button does. The second button, this one right here, it goes down the rows. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. That goes down the list in this way. So that's the way it's listed now. So we've got 2 columns on here. If I click on that, it sorts it that way. I've noticed when I click that with this database, it's not, I think this version of membership, this isn't quite finished on yet. So when I click this, it would normally sort left to right on here. So that's what those 2 buttons are designed to do on there. Okay, so that is all of the information I have for you on customizing fields in version 20 of Church Windows. Thanks so much for joining me here, everybody. If you're all set to get on with your day, feel free to click on the X in the upper right-hand corner of our GoToWebinar control panel. That'll close you out of the room. You'll be all set to go. I am going to leave the room open to clarify or answer any specific questions that you have regarding customization of the membership module in version 20. So for everybody who's out of here, thanks for joining me. I'll go ahead and see if I've got any questions from this list that have popped up here. Let's see. But yeah, people, okay, so if you have specific questions about your situation, like with your database, this is not really the appropriate forum for that. So if you have specific questions and you need help with kind of correcting your data in the membership module, feel free to give us a call. Our support line number is at 800-533-5227. Support technician will be glad to help you out if you've got problems with your membership database or you need to clean some things up. You can also send us an email. Our email address for support questions, it's just support@churchwindows.com. Okay, so Patricia asks if you have to use a code for a list field. Yes, the answer to that is yes. List fields are, by their very definition, fields that have a series of codes that you must select from when you enter them into the system here. If you don't want to use codes, that's when you set up a character field. So if, for example, if you didn't want a list of these kind of pre-formatted codes here, you could set up profession as a character field instead. So if I come here, I do this, I change this to a character field. Now it's not a set of codes and I can type whatever I want in here, right? So, you know, list fields kind of enforce specific codes to be recorded in there. Character fields, you can kind of type whatever you want to in a particular field. So yes, list fields do require you to use specific codes for them. Right. Can you add or delete a field in membership and visitor at the same time rather than doing this twice? Well, it does do it at the same time by default, actually. So that profession field that I created also, oh, it does. Okay. Right. Right. So if you do create, okay, so for example, if I add a new field, we create a new field in here. It's set up in the member file. If you flip over to the visitor file, you simply put a check mark to make it visible if you want it in both. So you create a new field in one category, you flip to the other category, put a check mark in there. So it only is displayed in the category that you save it in by default.